Hey, what is up, my people? Pastor Bill here. We're starting a brand new series at Centerpoint in the book of Exodus, and today I want to share with you one of the most troubling stories in Scripture and how God orchestrated one of the most incredible rescues you'll ever hear about. I'm talking about the birth of Moses. Now, you might think, I know this story, but stick with me because there are some details here that will blow your mind about how God works in impossible situations. And by the end of this, you might see your own struggles differently. So let me set this up. The Israelites, or God's people, were living in Egypt for about 400 years at this point. But there's a problem. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is terrified that the Hebrew population is growing too fast, and he's paranoid that they're going to team up with one of Egypt's enemies and overthrow him. So what does he do? Well, he creates this horrific law. Every newborn Hebrew boy must be thrown into the Nile River. Yeah, killed. Can you imagine? What should be the happiest moment of your life, having a baby, becomes the most terrifying. And in the middle of this nightmare, Exodus chapter 2 tells us about a Hebrew woman giving birth to a baby boy. Now, if this were a movie, they would cue the dramatic music, right? Because this is a problem. But this mother looks at her baby, and Scripture tells us that she saw he was very special. So for 3 months, she hides him. 3 months. Can you imagine the fear of every single day? Every time the baby cries, every knock on the door, every footstep outside, is this it? Are we discovered? But eventually, she can't hide it anymore. He's getting bigger, he's getting louder. It's only a matter of time before someone finds out. So here's what she does, and this is genius. She makes a basket out of papyrus reeds. She waterproofs it with tar and with some pitch. So now it's a floating box. Now remember, Pharaoh told the Hebrews to put their newborn boys in the river, right? So that's exactly what she does. She puts him in the river, but, and this is huge, she's not being foolish about it. She puts him in a waterproof basket. She picks her spot carefully among the reeds so it doesn't drift downstream. So this is faith and wisdom working together. She's doing everything she can control and then trusting God with what she can't control. Now, let me paint a fuller picture of how dangerous this whole thing was. That region of the Nile was home to Nile crocodiles. And we're not talking about little guys, okay? These are some of the largest and most aggressive crocs in the world. The Egyptians literally worshiped them as a god. They called him Sobek. Okay. So this mother is placing her baby in a basket in a river with crocodiles under a death decree from Pharaoh himself. So what are the odds here? It's not good, but she's found the safest spot she can. And then notice this, the text doesn't say they stuck around. They've done all they can do. And I think that maybe they couldn't bear to see what would happen next. But Moses' sister, Miriam, yeah, she stays, she watches. I think this is the faith of a child, just watching expectantly to see what God's going to do. But I love this because at that moment, it's not too early, it's not too late, Pharaoh's daughter comes down to the river to bathe. Now, out of all the people in Egypt, of all the moments in the day, the daughter of the very man who ordered these babies killed finds this basket in this spot at just the right time. Coincidence? Yeah, no, I don't think so. So she opens the basket and the baby's crying, and it melts her heart. And she says, this must be one of the Hebrew children. Now she knows what her father's law says, but compassion wins. Then Moses' little sister Miriam, remember she's been watching this whole thing, she makes her move. And with the kind of boldness that only a kid has, she walks up to the princess and says, hey, should I find a Hebrew woman to nurse this baby for you? The princess says, yes, do it. So Miriam runs and gets her own mother, the baby's own mother. Now, let that sink in for a minute, okay? By royal decree, this mother gets to take her own baby back home and nurse him as she would. And she's paid for it by the Pharaoh's own family. I love how God works. He doesn't just solve our problems, he exceeds our wildest expectations. So later, when the boy is older, his mother brings him back to Pharaoh's daughter and she adopts him. She names him Moses. Now, in Egyptian, the word mesh means my son. But in Hebrew, it sounds a lot like mashach, which means to draw out. So in Egypt, he's the mesh, or the son of royalty, but to God's people, he's mashach. He's the one who was drawn out of the water. And one day, he would be the one who would draw all of God's people out of Egypt. He'll be their deliverer. But even that's not the end of the story, because the Hebrew word mashach, for drawn out, sounds like another Hebrew word, Mashiach, or Messiah in English. Moses is pointing forward to Jesus, the ultimate deliverer, the one who would rescue us not just from physical slavery, but from slavery to sin. Now, why does this matter for us today? Let me give you a couple of takeaways from this section. First is this: faith and wisdom aren't opposites. Listen, do everything you can, then trust God with what you can't control. Build your waterproof basket, choose your spot, do the work, and then release your grip and watch what God does. Second, God's timing is perfect. Pharaoh's daughter didn't show up 5 minutes too early or 10 minutes too late. She arrived at exactly the right moment. Listen, whatever you're waiting for, your breakthrough might be closer than you think. So if you're in a waiting season right now, if you've got your own basket floating among the reeds, listen, take courage. Because the same God who orchestrated a mother's tears, a sister's bravery, and a princess's compassion is orchestrating your story too. He sees your basket. He knows exactly when to move. And when he does, it'll be better than you've ever imagined. Listen, thanks for watching. And if this encouraged you, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. What's your basket in the reeds? And what are you trusting God with right now? And I'll see you next time. And why not join us at Centerpoint for worship and encouragement this weekend? It all starts this Sunday at 10 a.m. You can join us on site at our campus in beautiful South Tacoma, or if you're out of town, join us online at our Centerpoint Facebook page. Either way, it'll be a great time together. See you then.